Howdy ho, YTPC. Easy Embers here on the porch. I hope you're doing well. I am just got off work, just got home. It's a beautiful, it's probably one of the first days it's really felt like summer. It's kind of humid out here. The animals are out. Sun's shining through and it's a little too hot to be just standing out there, in the direct sunlight. Enjoying one of my absolute favorite pipes, this beautiful caviler. It's from Czechoslovakia. At least that's what it says on the side here. And it's actually my first caviler I ever got at Muletown Pipe Show. It's awesome. It's one of the cleanest, it's one of the coolest smokes ever had. So comfortable. I really love the caviler design. It sold me on it, and so I got at least another little itty bitty one whenever we were on our honeymoon. But love the design. Like, it turns with your head, like it, plus the wind cap and everything. It's like the ultimate just outdoor pipe for me. Anyways, I think it's great. It's also really good for reading. Speaking of reading, let me show you a little bit about what I've been reading through right now. I'm nearly done with it. I don't know if anyone else would be interested in this. A little novel by Dan Jones. Well, medium-sized novel. It's more of a history report. Reminds me a lot of the like essays and thesi that I wrote whenever I was doing my undergrad and graduate work for history courses and everything. But it's really cool. This is some of the content that I teach about, but just being honest with you, the state of Kentucky does not really care that students go into depth with a lot of the content. Really what they're looking for standards wise is like a glazing of knowledge. Can the kids tell me that it was the Crusades, roughly who was fighting who, and roughly what is a couple of reasons, and what was the end result? It's like, if you can name that, then like the state of Kentucky says, all right, you've got it. So I always, that's a whole nother issue with me and how I view the standards. We won't get into that and I won't bore you. But I always give the kids more. I always try to. They do, like, in how the state works, you have a limited set amount of time that you can talk about like each topic. You can talk about one topic for the entire year, but that means that you basically, gyp the kids on everything else that they could be like tested on or something like that. So you got to keep moving, got to keep that pace going. And so I try to always go into more detail. But because of myself, just me knowing me, like, I need refresher courses on stuff because there's a bunch of names. There's a lot of places. The world is a big place out there. So if you don't use it, you lose it. And that's where this book comes in. I really enjoy this because it's been a great refresher course for me. And you can see with my little tab right there, I'm nearly done. I'm like down to 1/6, left in the book. And a lot of that is just the end notes. For those of you that are not history majors and all that, this is what you'll find at the end of all the books, and it's just the primary and secondary source references and all the people's names and all of that. So you end up that like 1/6 of your book or your writing, or 1/8 of it or something, is just footnotes. It's just information. But the guy pulls from a lot of really good primary and secondary sources, mainly primary, which that's the ones you always want to try and get into, and he gives a good kind of balance of both sides. And I think we all could pretty well benefit, even though we're not Europeans right now per se, but many of us are descendants from Europe, and we do take a lot of Western ideas from Europe. So whether you care about it or not, it happened and it's history. So I think a lot of people benefit from looking at it, and some of the stuff's pretty eye-opening, and some of it's pretty crazy. it's fascinating. My father, who is also a history teacher, always said that truth is always stranger than fiction. And this book helps show that a little bit. Uh, so, been reading on that, nearly finished with it. It's pretty good. Also wanted to share the people that have recently hopped in on the giveaway, the 100 subscriber giveaway that I had not heard from last time. So we still have, the ones I've mentioned beforehand, but we've added on 2 more. Most recently was Life with a Pipe. And he was showing off some very playful schnauzers. They look like a lot of fun. Really cool dogs. And then I just got done watching Patter Piper. And wow, talk about a beautiful German Shepherd. Wow. I mean, I don't think I've really seen like a blonde German Shepherd before like that. And at first look, I was like, is that albino? I don't know. But then, yeah, just really beautiful dog. Absolutely gorgeous. And I like German Shepherds. They're a very loyal breed. And all the ones I've been around, they definitely give off the appeal of ferociousness, but I mean, with any dog, you train them right, they're super cuddly and they're awesome. So yeah, no, that was a really neat looking dog there. So those are 2 more that are in the drawing for the Bad Cat Sampler Extravaganza. And that is coming up soon. So if you're watching this video, you have until the 13th. This one's going to be posted, I believe, on the 10th. So you got till this coming Wednesday. And I hope you can get in if you want to on that. The only other thing that I kind of want to talk about and just sort of mumble around for a little bit and jaw about is just a reflection, just a personal reflection of myself. I have now been, collecting tobaccos and getting into pipes and everything like that for going on now about my 6th year. Seriously, seriously going after it for 6 years. And tendencies are starting to occur. They're beginning to pop out. And I've heard other people talk about this. I haven't heard anybody make a video of it in a while, but I did stumble onto an older video, and I can't remember now the channel that it was, but I was driving in the car and it just started playing. I was like, you know what? I hadn't really thought about like my personal tendencies whenever it comes to like what blends I smoke and what time of year and what triggers, the blends that I pull. So I'm kind of curious if you all can agree with this or disagree entirely. But I thought I'd share with you kind of my tendencies. And if you guys have any suggestions, I am always open to listening to that. I always want to learn more. But I've just noticed like right now we're kind of from springtime going into summer. And with that, I've kind of wrote down some notes here. I was just looking back at like the blends that I've got on my shelf and the ones that I've pulled for the last 6 years or so. And I've noticed that my tendency is in the morning, typically in the mornings of spring, all the way up until midday, I am smoking Oriental forward blends that are very, it's going to have more of the vegetal notes to it. It's going to be more perfumey, more powdery. I think it really reminds me of the flowers that are coming out right now, and everything's getting that vegetal green smell to it. And that's actually the blend that part of the blend I've got going on right now. This pipe is dedicated to another blend that I picked up at the same time at the same show as this. It is the now moving on into legendary status, I think, of Sweated. I picked up a brick of Sweated, me and 2 other buddies, and we split it 3 ways. And so I've got a couple, like 2 bricks of a couple bricks of plug. And yeah, it's nice. It's got Virginias in it, and it's got Oriental forward, very aged Orientals, very funky Orientals in it, and you taste them. They come forward and has the sort of like red Virginia wine notes in it that come out, and that's part of the reason I'm drinking some grape juice with it. I enjoy a little grape juice whenever I'm drinking Virginias, and it just brings out more of that stone fruit sort of flavor. And then in the evening, I find myself getting pulled towards Vapors, Virginia Perique. And specifically the red Virginia with the Perique, you get that stone fruit sort of thing. But the Perique adds more depth to it. So in the evening time, I'm going to go for the Perique presence. And in the rest of the day, Orientals all the way, baby. I really like my Orientals. But then as we really transfer into summer, you and I both know that heat gets to you, man. Gets to you really quick. And so what I've found is, and this is the one that I think may be a little bit different for people, I will grab a Virginia forward blend, maybe a straight Virginia, but usually I like to do like a little mixture, like a Weber a little bit, but it needs to be very strong in the Virginia department. I don't always love straight Virginias. They tend to come off as bland to me. It has to be at the heat of the day, boys and girls, and I need to be resting and truly relaxing to parse out all of the individual nuances that are in those Virginias. But basically, from noontime, in the heat of the day, I'm going to go for a Virginia. But in the morning and at night, I will grab an English. Usually a very light English in the morning, something like early morning pipe, St. John's English, just different lighter Englishes, nothing super heavy in the morning. And then in the evening, I'll grab the nightcap. I'm going to grab the, well, I was about to say Palmetto Balkan, but actually I tend to smoke that in the morning because it's kind of Virginia heavy for me. But nightcap would definitely be one. I'm trying to think of another one. My Mixture 965. Yeah, things like that. I'm going to grab the heavier, darker, more medium Latakia because it reminds me of campfires. And that's kind of how I unwind. I start the morning, everything's kind of misty and hazy and smoky. And a lot of the people around here have wood fireplaces. And so in the morning, whenever I wake up, like one of the first things I smell is people stoking the fire, and it's real smoky at first, and they're getting their fires going for the day in their workshop or in their house. And so that's just a smell I'm used to. And then in the evening, you gather around the campfire in the evening, you unwind. That's how you do it. About at the bottom here. Falls. I split it between like Burleys in the morning. I love starting a fall morning with a cup of coffee and Haunted Bookshop. I have Haunted Bookshop cake. That's how you start the morning. Great start to the morning for me, and it just hits so well. And that's also whenever I'm grabbing my Solani H Burley Flake. Yeah, all the way until sun's beginning to set earlier in the fall, and whenever the sun starts setting and it begins to get a little cooler out, especially if the wind's picking up some, then I'm gonna grab my Dark Fired. That's whenever the Dark Fire starts coming in. I reserve that for the evening. It's got more punch to it, and Dark Fired I got to be careful with because that will give me a little too much nicotine depending on the blend. I got to be a little careful with it and be mindful of it. But yeah, so fall time, Burley's in the morning to midday, evening is Dark Fire. And then we finish it out with wintertime. And I'm not much of an aromatic smoker. I will occasionally throw it in, to sort of spice things up. But the one time that you can catch me smoking aromatics is wintertime. That is usually whenever I have an office room, as you've seen me in previous videos, and that's usually what I'll be smoking. is something that's aromatic. It's not going to mess with the house too much. The wife doesn't mind it too bad. Um, and it's more Christmassy, you know, and everything like that. You get a lot of these different flavors coming in, and I'll get some of my seasonal Santa-based blends and things like that start popping up. So aromatics throughout most of the day. In the evening, though, in the evening is whenever I try to go for more. I started getting into some of the, like, I don't even know how to do this. It's still aromatic, but it's like you're more like burly aromatics, if that makes sense. Kind of like Cornell and Deal's corncob pipe. I can't even think of. I think that's the name of the blend. It's got Frosty the Snowman on it, but yeah, I think it's called corncob pipe. But it's an aromatic. It's got like this chocolatey marshmallow note on top of it, but it is deeply burly, and it will, like, you'll feel it. So it's very tobacco forward, very burly esque. If I'm outside, there's the difference. All of that is if I'm indoors, but if it's wintertime and I have to be outside for something, it's cold, especially if it's got like a wind blowing and everything, the chill's really going. I may go for a brisk walk somewhere. That is the one time, the one time pretty much, that I will deliberately grab Rustica. I will look for Rustica. I'm going to grab the darkest of the dark blends that I've got, the thing that's got enough nicotine in it that's going to deliver such a punch that if I smoke it indoors, I'm not going to be able to finish the bowl. And that has happened before. To my great just anger and frustration, there has been multiple times that I have sampled a new blend. I do not look at what the components are until afterwards, and I'm like halfway through a bowl or even a third through the bowl, and I have to stop, and I'm like, what is going on? This makes no sense. But I'm smoking indoors. I'm trying to get some ventilation, but it's freezing outside, so that's really hard to do. Can't stand it. And then I go back and I look at some of the components, like, there it is, it's Rustica. But if it's outside, I can handle it. But I don't know. What do y'all think? Is this similar to you? Is this different to you? I feel like the most like controversial thing, and perhaps I'm totally off, is like when to have Latakia. Because I hear a lot of people will grab Latakia or Latakia whenever it's in the wintertime. And I get that. That makes sense. It's more deep, it's more cozy. I can absolutely see that. But that's not typical for me. Like those flavors are the incensey vibe. You know, that's kind of like flowers in the middle of summer around the campfire. That's just me, anyways. So, yeah, I'd love to hear what you all think about this, and appreciate you guys for watching this. I'm going to finish up the last dregs here of this sweated. I will not waste any of it at all in this beautiful pipe here. And I hope that you guys are having a fantastic day. And if you are interested, yes, please put in a VR there. Show us your bad cat, your bad dog, your parrot, your otter, your fish, your grasshopper, your pet rock. I mean, get creative with it. And I will see you guys on the next one.